Hi, everyone. Welcome to our season finale of Verifiably Random. I am here with my co-hosts, the fabulous John and the fabulous Marc, but we have guests today. We have Staci, our CEO, and we have Devan, who leads partnerships for us on the ecosystem side. So we're coming to you here at Decipher in Barcelona, where we're putting together this retreat for our builders in the ecosystem. And I would say it's been pretty fabulous. What do you guys think?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, it is different from last year or 2 years ago, where we held this in a big space in Dubai. But right here, it's all about the builders this year. We are kind of calling it internally the Builders Retreat. It's about bringing them together. We have some really great programming. We have some great panels. We've got some MBA tracks for builders who really know how to launch startups. We've got companies showcasing their APIs in the ecosystem API showcase.
Right.
Have you sat in on these?
Yeah, and the words I've heard to describe the atmosphere is electric, intimate, authentic, and I think it's where it should be.
Yeah, and I think we also have some pretty awesome announcements that took place at Decipher as well. So actually, Staci and Devan, can you guys share what the most exciting announcement has been?
Yeah, I will say, just by way of apology first, our news correspondent is busy running the showcase, so we will not have a news correspondent this time. But just to say about the vibe of this, I'll just use the Para example. So Yeet ran, the CTO of Para, ran a booth at Decipher 2 years ago and at Decipher this year. And at Decipher 2 years ago, it was a couple of thousand people. And he said people were coming up to me at the booth the whole time. Hey, what's Para? What's a wallet? Like what's Algorand, et cetera, et cetera. He said this year people were coming up to me at the booth because they had feature requests, they had complaints, they wanted me to do something. Everybody knew what Para was and what it was doing. And it's much smaller, but everybody here belongs here. They deserve to be here. It's builders and really people deep in the community. And I think we've decided as a management team that it's much better to go that small, intimate route. So we're pretty. I personally am very excited with how it's been so far.
It's grassroots, right?
Yeah, and you can see it on the tech side, I think, as well, right?
Right, because there are workshops. Actually, you're right. Down the hall, there's like a DevRel. They call it the DevRel cave.
And it's like a classroom, right? There's like desks in rows, and there's not a single desk. There's people standing at the back.
Yeah.
And to me, that's amazing because so many times you try to run these sessions, which are techie, and people kind of don't show up really at conferences. They're enjoying the social aspect of it. And to see the classroom full, it tells me we're doing something right.
Right.
And I've had so many interesting conversations with builders and with projects, and they have such interesting stories to tell, and it really shows kind of the vibrancy of the entire ecosystem.
Right.
So many different interesting solutions in real world use cases. I think it's just fascinating to talk to everybody here.
Yeah, and our news correspondent is running this showcase where it's everything from how to do crisis comms to how to talk to a VC to how to manage your runway. This is all geared towards the entrepreneurs and the builders. So, I think it's...
Yeah, and I mean, I guess maybe like favorite part so far for me has been seeing the Grandmaster play all the teams, the builders, and just putting bets on who's going to actually crush the Grandmaster.
I thought I could beat him, but then just yeah, of course.
You didn't even plan.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was
Then I
like,
decided
how
I can't
hard
really beat
can
him.
it be? But then I was playing Rob on the life-size chessboard out there. Sorry, Rob, the CTO of MakerX, who's a smart guy, plays chess. I was playing him, and someone came up to me and said, "You're both bad at chess," just by looking at the board.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not, and it's okay to be at the side. So yeah.
I was
Did
trying.
anyone win again?
Well, I do. I want to give a shout out to AJ at Optio Capital, very smart guy, AJ at Optio Capital, and he survived the longest by a fair amount, actually.
Yeah.
So people were playing multiple games. And also Sarah Jane, our youngest champion.
Who is, supporting our community team and DevRel community. She just sat there
She was the only
played.
woman, the only woman in there, and she made it pretty far. But I mean, people played multiple games with them. Nobody came anywhere close to
it was funny. We were talking about the only way to potentially win is if you just go totally random on this Grandmaster.
Right. It's like being in a fight with a Grandmaster fighter and 10 of you try to gang up on this guy, and it's like Indiana Jones, he beats you all down, and
it's like little monkey.
Yeah.
So
that was pretty. That was pretty fun. And then who had a party last night? Folks, Tiny Man, that
Yeah,
sponsored
there was, well, I mean, for the first para, there was actually a bunch of these
Compact,
projects
I think, yeah.
together, Compacts, DFly, Melt Gold, Para, Tiny Man. They all got together.
These were not separate parties. This was
Right,
one
one
party.
giant party.
Because like,
Yeah.
you know, someone came up to me. I was at that event last night, and someone came up to me and said, "It feels like I'm home." You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there was no
Yeah, yeah.
intimidation. There was no kind of like, who are
Right.
these people?
Yeah.
It was just like party with your friends, if you like it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
lovely.
Nice, lovely venue, sort of inside outside vibe.
Yeah.
They did a super nice job. I think
Yeah.
it was really, really.
Just really nice. I mean, also just I think it kind of reiterates the kind of this community vibe that we've been feeling at the conference, but also just our projects work together.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
partner and build new products together. So it's so nice to see them party
Yeah.
together. And
Yeah.
I mean, they've known each other for a
Right.
long.
And then we also had a session where we dropped a enormous amount of crypto alpha, really incredible, ahead of the curve insights. But unfortunately, that happened at the women's breakfast this morning, and we can't share
You know,
those
house rules, yes.
So there may be some men in the audience, so we can.
We were invited. We were invited. I was not. Yeah, we were invited.
We saw you peeking in the window trying to get it.
I tried to get in 2 years ago, but I wasn't allowed.
Yeah, so okay. Well, anyway, announcements. Right?
Yes, announcements.
So, of course, the big announcement is that after much work and much coordination on behalf of our head of integrations and partnerships, Devan Moorthy, that we were very pleased to announce that USDCa is finally being listed on Coinbase. My Twitter feed now can stop being when USDCa on Coinbase. I'm personally also very happy about that. But it is really momentous news for the ecosystem. This is how you get access to stablecoin, and this is how everybody from our disaster relief partners to our most degen companies, protocols need access to USDCa easily on Coinbase. So congratulations, Devan.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about how you got that done, and tell us a little bit how you're gonna kind of take it forward. Like, what are we gonna do with this?
I mean, the first thing to say is that it was a very collaborative effort, both internally within the foundation, and then also Coinbase were a great partner to work with. These type of things take a lot of time, and to craft these agreements in a way that makes sense for everyone, we really needed to understand what mattered to Coinbase. They needed to understand what mattered to us, and they were great partners to work with.
Yeah, you said that throughout the process, actually.
Yeah. And so we're absolutely thrilled to be able to deliver this for the community and for all the builders, and we're expecting to see many positive effects come from it. The USDC part is just one part of a larger partnership that we have with Coinbase. So as Marc mentioned on stage yesterday, there is another part that will help to amplify the Algorand ecosystem, showcase our Para wallet, and really bring new people into the Algorand community. And that's in the form of a Quest program, which is a on-chain learn and earn style program. But as Marc so aptly called out yesterday on stage, this is really driving on-chain activity. So to not read a piece and answer a question, it's actually download Para wallet, go to Folks Finance, use the USDC from Coinbase, deposit it in, see how quick. We talk about instant finality, but hearing about it and experiencing it is a different thing. And we just want as many people as we can to experience it, and we're thankful that Coinbase can help us achieve that.
Yeah, it's a little microcosm of our, I think, overall approach. We try to keep it real, make sure that if we make an announcement, there's a transaction on chain. We're not going to just have a silly learn and earn. You're going to actually make sure that real things are happening on your quest to use.
I mean, this is beneficial for Coinbase too, right? They like people buying and acquiring these assets on chain, but they want them to go and use these applications and give them a reason to go back to Coinbase and explore different things to do, buy more assets. It really serves the aim of Algorand and Coinbase, and I think that's what made it a really fun partnership to work on.
How long would you say you worked on this deal?
How long did I work on it? A number of months.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of this too. When I ask for things, you ask for something and you don't really understand how long it can take. And even I underestimated it.
Yeah.
You begin these conversations with Coinbase, and maybe I say to you, Min, oh, maybe this will get done in 2 months. And that ends up being overly optimistic. But I'm glad that we took the time and, whatever it was, 6-7 months to actually craft something that made sense for everyone.
Yeah.
You thought Meredith would say yes the first time you asked her, but it took you months and months and years. But you did finally get her over the line. So you
Yeah, she was a tough negotiator.
Meredith is Devan's wife.
Who probably wasn't expecting it. So she'll be, I'm sure she'll be appreciative of it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm also just curious, like, of all those, tweets that we get about when USDCa while you're just working in the background, like that,
Yeah.
just wanting to deliver for the community. I just,
you did a super nice job.
And that's a fine balance. And when people do reach out on Twitter and we don't or we can't respond, that isn't indicative of not hearing the community, and it's not indicative of us doing things that aren't in service of the community.
Yes.
It's just that actually, in order to get these things done, sometimes you have to be a little bit tight-lipped, and you can't give it away ahead of time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we do hear you.
The silly lawyers at Coinbase don't like to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a great point, John. It's not only us deciding what we can say and when. It's being respectful of the partner that you're working with and understanding the constraints that they may have as a public company.
Being good partners. Yeah.
A couple of other announcements, though, that we made, which I'll just tick off and make you watch our video if you want more detail. But we did, and we've been working on this for a long time, a tokenization of the Aberdeen Money Market Fund or Bond Fund. And that tokenization is taking place with ArchX, who is they spent a number of months getting regulated as an alternative asset manager, and Quantos, which is a digital euro. And so basically now with the three of them, so Archex can tokenize Aberdeen, and Quantos with the Euro D can pay for that tokenization. So it's very seamless. And we just had an RWA panel talking about all kinds of things that this implies. Like, for example, I'll just name one, money market fund collateral, using a little bit of a money market fund as collateral for other kinds of trades. Really just kind of cool, pushing the envelope. It's about innovation and also inclusion. So we're very excited about that one. Multiple parties, kind of complicated deal. Another one is LabTrace. These guys do timestamps, not just timestamps, but also kind of a folder approach to MRI images. So it's a thing, sadly to say, that you take MRI images of a tumor getting bigger, you're doing a medical trial, and then you just reverse the ordering of those images, and you show the images of a tumor getting smaller because it's in reverse order, and you use this to demonstrate the efficacy of your drug. So it's pretty abhorrent kind of behavior, but the founder of LabTrace was actually called as an expert witness against somebody who had been doing this, and he thought, if there's only way to put this on chain and get these timestamps, and also in a folder approach that you can't cherry pick the best images from multiple different patients, and so they are doing all of that on Algorand. We're very honored to be a part of that too.
Staci, I think what's really cool about these examples are that we're not just putting a solution out there, we're actually showing the world that entire life cycle of what it means, like this, this tokenization of the Aberdeen fund with Archex with Euro D. It's a full cycle. We now know how you can actually do this, not just theoretically, like you can do this.
Right, exactly. And by the time this podcast goes live, we'll have some transactions on chain to talk about.
Yeah.
But we did a partnership with Finboot, which is a very large supply chain company. And they are particularly big in the oil and gas space, and they were on Ethereum, and I want you all to laugh. They got tired of paying the gas fees. Thank you very much on Ethereum, and so they decided to move from Ethereum to Algorand because we are faster and cheaper and more sustainable, actually. So we're super excited for that partnership too. So big, heavy stuff. Not nearly as important, any of that though, as what is going on in our community. So Lynn, please.
Thank you. I apologize. No, but Finboot is now part of our community, which is super exciting. And, the whole sustainability and traceability piece is one that we're seeing quite a bit of traction from other projects like WholeChain as well. So very excited for Finboot to be coming over. But I was going to say one thing that we're pretty psyched about also in the ecosystem is for our Para wallet users, we just announced yesterday that we are going to be launching a debit card with our partners at Immersive. So you can now use and spend your, USDC, I believe, USDCa, at any merchant that takes MasterCard. And this is exciting because it actually really showcases some of the fundamental values of Algorand as a blockchain. So you individually have your account, all your account balances are on chain, and all this stuff is incredibly transparent, which is very unique in the card payments business. And so
And what's I think really cool about it, and I think it's worth mentioning, is that Immersive were working with Ethereum. And they have a a very solid architecture in their back end where they make this stuff happen. But they were paying a lot of gas fees, and also they had kind of batched up the settlement piece on their side. So they were taking a bit of risk because they couldn't in real time move the crypto to back up the transaction. They were kind of essentially taking some risk there. And so with Algorand, they now have the ability to instantly settle with instant finality. And so this means that they don't have any risk. Someone taps, they get the money. They get the crypto.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is super critical.
So
So
actually,
what's interesting with that as well is like when you remember the supermarket commercial where people were saying, well, oh, these are not real use cases. Well, they are real use cases.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we're actually showing it with the MasterCard.
yeah. Well, so the other thing is, they have the choice. They have the option to settle instantaneously, but they're actually doing it. They're going to do it maybe once or twice a day still to start, and then as they get more comfortable with the network, they are going to settle more instantaneously. But this idea of instant finality allows them to put all this balance on chain, which is something that they were not able to do with Ethereum. To your point, they had to just create one omnibus account. And so they weren't like as an individual cardholder, I was not able to go and see how much
That's
ETH
interesting.
do I have left in my account?
Yeah.
Because it's all this one giant omnibus account, and everything is like a ledgered
Yeah.
account. Whereas now on Algorand, on Para, you can actually see individually what the balance is of your card, which is really great. And then to be able to settle instantaneously, once they do this, once they actually implement it, it's a game changer. For sure. So we're super psyched about this.
Yeah.
And that was Immersive's vision.
Yeah,
It wasn't
yes.
that we sold them and said this is a better architecture that you could do on Algorand. This was actually their vision, and this was the tech that could enable it.
Yeah, and their team has been great. We worked with them to expedite the journey from a technical point of view, but Jerome and the rest of the team at Immersive have been wonderful to work with, and it's a great partnership.
And then my last point on this is, it's also because Para is now sort of like part of our way of exposing users into our ecosystem. We can then now launch this on Para as a way to showcase what it means to actually have a non-custodial, debit card in our ecosystem. So super excited. It's going to be a couple months before the product is in beta. It's going to be available in New Zealand, Australia first because of regulatory and compliance license sort of rules. But yeah, we're very excited to have that go live.
Speaking of infrastructure, I don't know, John, are you doing anything lately, your team? Anything to announce?
Yeah, we've done a lot of work, I think, over the last year at the foundation, and so really the first major announcement was Algokit 3, and all of the things that we talked about in the podcast so far, the tokenization of the money market fund, the atomic swaps, the stuff that we've done with Finboot, all of this is made possible because we've got great developer tools. And our journey into developer tools began, I think, 2 years ago. We gave command line tools to help build, test, and deploy apps. We then added support for languages folks were kind of used to, like Python. And today, we've announced Algokit 3, which is the next generation of our developer tools. And so this brings TypeScript support. It brings line-by-line debugging support for Python and TypeScript. So you can step into your code, step over your code. And it also brings a visualization of your transactions so that you kind of reach out and touch your code during debug. You can see the flow of transactions. It's very powerful. On top of that, there's a bunch of other little bits and pieces we added, like, for example, local compilation, and indeed the ability to subscribe to events on chain. So these are kind of super technical things, but they make the developer experience for enterprise-grade apps so much easier and so much cheaper to run in production.
Okay, what about engineering though? You're also, because we started off and you did not have an engineering team when you first came to the foundation, and nor did you particularly have an interest in building one, but
yeah, I guess engineering has been something I kind of spent a lot of my career doing, and so it felt natural to try to build that. And it's funny, kind of it's like the need arose, and we kind of staffed up this incredible engineering team, and we've hired, I think, not only incredible folks generally, but a lot of folks from the community, and so we've brought in, I think, just some wonderful people. And our R&D department, research and development, have built products that we didn't really even have, I guess, an instruction for. It wasn't like I said, we need to do this thing, or someone, came with a bunch of requirements. They just kind of, on their own, they had this kind of vision for how they could make things better. And so,
Yeah, some of that vision is killing the middleman, right?
yeah, absolutely. So I think, two big announcements that we made at Decipher 24 were first, Liquid Auth. And so Liquid Auth is a tool that eradicates the need for centralized middlemen and brokers like Wallet Connect. Folks may or may not know this, but you go to a lot of effort to build your dApp, to put a front end on the web, and allow your users to interact with your blockchain. But of course, sometimes folks don't realize that when you're interacting with a blockchain application or a smart contract, you have to send information from your cell phone or your mobile phone to the front end, right? You've got to sign transactions. Right now, that's essentially handled by a single company, okay? And it's a centralized
Ethereum first.
ecosystem. It's a private company, and they do censor transactions. So if a country is geopolitically involved in something that they disagree with, they remove them from their customer base. And so we knew, by the way, that the technology was there. The standards were there in Web 2, FIDO, WebAuth, WebAuthTC, passkeys. These things existed, and we could, just like Bitcoin originally took hash functions and distributed computing and blended them together to make, electronic money, we did the same thing. Liquid Auth brings together a cocktail of primitives that were standards from Web 2 in order to deliver peer-to-peer authenticated and secure communication between your phone and blockchain applications.
So taking your tech hat off, what does this mean for the average person?
For the average person, this means you'll be able to use Algorand to sign into a website. You'll be able to go to GitHub and sign in with your Algorand wallet. You'll be able to go to Google, Apple, and sign in with your Algorand wallet. And so this really allows people to represent themselves digitally, identify themselves with Algorand.
Cool.
Yeah.
What else you got?
So the last thing, we announced a new standard for how we represent wallets and accounts on Algorand. Folks will be familiar with this idea of, recording your 25 words when you open your Algorand account. It turned out, though, that if you wanted a second account, you needed a second 25 words. Well, we've changed that. Now, like the rest of the ecosystem, the rest of the industry, I should say, we have 24 words. And indeed, you can generate many addresses, and practically infinite addresses, from a single 24-word account. So it's going to be great.
It allows for much more cross-chain interoperability.
It does. It means we're interoperable with all of the other ecosystems like Ethereum. And on top of that, it allows for peer-to-peer communications. So now, two Algorand accounts can essentially make a handshake and set up an encrypted channel between each other. So it's very powerful.
There are two more things that I'm excited about with this particular HD wallet implementation. One is the fact that it sets us up potentially to have identity wallets, to have like multiple wallets within an account, which is how the rest of the industry really works. And so we're kind of like finally being able to do some of this big ideas in our ecosystem now, because we now support this standard.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I will say, man, you started complaining about that almost on your interview when you came up. You kind of walked in the door and
25 words?
what?
The 25 words?
The multiple to have an account-based system as opposed to an address-based system. I mean, you were on that from day
and
one.
Bruno too. Bruno came in as like, this is not right. With the rest of the industry, we need to be, and then the interoperability piece is also really important, because what this means now is that other wallets can more easily integrate Algorand if they want to. They don't have to, build a custom integration to support Algorand. They can just support Algorand as if they were supporting any other chain.
Right.
And that just makes the conversation that, we have on the partnership side, on the ecosystem side, much easier. You don't have to have it, right? You don't have to build a whole new implementation.
And
Ledger had to build its own thing.
right, and I think this is kind of like, there's kind of a narrative arc here, which is, sure, Algorand is incredibly sophisticated, and that enables us to do things that other blockchains can't, like instant finality. But at the same time, you don't want to overwhelm the end user or your customer with complexity. And so whether it's changing teal to Python, or whether it's the 25 words to 24. We're just trying to make sure that we bring easy access to the average person who's not a computer scientist to this computer scientist designed wonderful blockchain.
Yeah, and can I just add one more thing? I'm not the technical person here, but but I think this is going to be really important for us as an ecosystem. The ARC 59 asset inbox support that your team worked on, that Joe on your team really led the implementation on, that Para's going to adopt, and that maybe we can even get some of the exchanges to potentially leverage, right? I mean, that's another example of like just getting us up there with the standards.
Talk about that. Yeah, that's super cool, I think.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, folks may or may not know, but on Ethereum and many blockchain ecosystems, a wallet is permissionless. If I have your address, I can send you anything. And I think a notable example of this that was published was that when BlackRock tokenized assets on Ethereum, they received a lot of spam, if you like, or silly tokens into their receive address because there's no permissioning on that. On Algorand, we've taken an approach where you have to opt into an asset before someone can send it to you, which is usually relatively frictionless. But for very large scale deployments or for airdrops and other things, it can, of course, require a user to make a step before they can receive something. So we wanted to blend the best of both worlds. We wanted to make it easy to receive assets for those who don't care, but at the same time, for enterprise-grade customers who do care, well, we wanted to give them the protection that they needed. We've evolved a standard. It's called ARC 59, but ultimately it's going to be imperceptible to the user. Essentially now you'll be able to receive assets into like a Dropbox or a mailbox. You can have a look, and if you don't like it, you can flush it away. And if you do like it, you can accept it into your, at zero cost, you can accept it into your account, because essentially what happens is the sender pays for you to receive it, and it's a micro charge. It's only like less than a cent, but ultimately it means that you won't get spammed. But at the same time, you'll be able to, receive things without having to make
control. Control.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is anyway. I know this is a bit of a. We're excited about this as an ecosystem, not just from a user's perspective, but just again this idea of being able to work with other partners, right? Exchanges, for example, that you're having conversations with, right?
And Para is just gonna. It's been on a breakneck speed of development, and by the next couple of months, you'll have 24-word accounts. You'll be able to have infinite addresses. You'll be able to work with Immersive and issue a MasterCard in certain regions. And on top of that, you'll be able to have this Dropbox feature. So it's going to be great.
Or neat.
It's a great example as well, John, I think, of your team delivering what people are asking for. Like I fed back information to you and your team before when we were speaking to exchanges around, okay, we can solve this problem, but it's not the most elegant way to go about it. And the fact that you guys have taken that feedback and have made this in response to that, it's just, it's great. We're super excited about it on the partnership.
And I'm super excited about the fact that people will be able to buy USDC on Coinbase and get it into Vera. Thank you.
Well, I love it. I love this.
You're great.
Big love fest.
And of course, this was Marc's coming out party, this Decipher as well. Yeah.
Good job.
Sitting with this beautiful purple background as well. So you talked about a marketing house that you built, and you had a number of marketing announcements. So
Yeah, so I remember when I was at Google, we talked about marketing as bringing the toys to the kids. And so that's how I feel here as well. With all the announcements that you've done, for instance, on Algokit, these are the toys. And so the role of marketing is actually bring those toys to the kids. And so I think we have a tremendous opportunity here. I think there's only about 30,000 or so crypto developers. There's 8 million Python developers. And so with all the work that you've done around making onboarding for Python developers easier, our job is now to go out and reach out to these Python developers and make them aware of what Algorand is capable of, and then kind of bring them into the ecosystem and bring them up to speed. And so I think that has been one big priority of marketing, and it continues to be a big priority in the next couple of months. And so we're going to basically accelerate that. We're going to basically we're here at Decipher. We're recording a bunch of dev-to-dev videos. We're working with KOLs, key opinion leaders in the Python community. We're going to go to the We Are Developers conference in Berlin in next month to really talk to Python developers and give them the reasons why they should be looking at blockchains. And so that's a big element of our marketing strategy. And then the second thing, we're very excited here at Decipher to launch a new brand. So we have a new brand, and you see the purple background, blue background. So we bring in more color behind the Algorand logo and the Algorand brand. We have a whole new system of shapes, and they move, and they They move very dynamically. We're changing the way the brand is also shown online with a lot more kind of real world imagery to kind of showcase that we're
With a new website as well that I stole your thunder.
and you did it again.
Just did it again.
You did it again.
Unbelievable.
That's payback
John,
time
you
too.
didn't build the website. I mean, geez.
And so the brand I think looks a lot more modern, looks a lot more fresh, and also brings in a lot more human touches.
Yeah.
We even have you in there somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
like I don't know if that was a good idea. I think
No.
after this conversation, I think
No,
I'll remove that. Yeah. So, but we really want to kind of like lean in the idea of like unimaginable scale and the idea of like solving for real world use cases. And so the new website that we're also proud to announce today brings all of that to life. And I think the key thing about the website is that we've positioned it as a website for all the information around the Algorand ecosystem. It's not just about the foundation or technology. It's the website that has everything with regards to Algorand, the project, and the ecosystem. And so it's a single place where you can find out everything that's going on about Algorand.
And that changed the URL to reflect.
And the URL, exactly, the URL algorand.co, algorand.co is the new URL for Algorand.
Co for community.
Co for community.
Yes.
Community.
Love that.
Yeah, and so it's really designed around user journeys. So if you're a new user and want to find out how you get started, how to download the wallet, how to do your first kind of DeFi transaction, we'll have a specific kind of journey for new users. We have a specific journey for developers. If you're like new to the community, we have a journey for you. And so it's designed to actually onboard people, onboard users, onboard developers and community members into the system.
Totally, and something I noticed even myself. I was browsing the website on mobile, just checking it out, and it works great on mobile. Finally, you even have a section about running a node, and you talk not just about like the core technologies that we produce or Algorand technologies produce, but you talk about OUS one-click node, pixel node. So
Yes.
it's infused even on a technical level with the contributions of the community that have been built over the last couple of years. So it's great. Check it out.
Yeah, and actually, as we go towards node incentivization, I think that's going to be an important component. Is like getting people to set up their nodes or like participate in this whole system. I think it would be really important. So we're excited about that.
And on top of that, we're going to have a new developer portal coming. It's not ready yet, but it's going to be great. It's going to talk about nodes, it's going to talk about our SDKs and Python and TypeScript. And so we'll be launching that in conjunction with marketing soon.
And the last thing I want to kind of highlight from a marketing perspective too is like we really want to go out with like a much more aggressive kind of awareness campaign, and we want to put the ecosystem projects front and center.
Right.
And so we
Love
actually
hearing
have,
that.
yeah,
Love
we
hearing
actually have 3 studios. We're one of
Yeah.
the content studios here, but we have 3 content studios at Decipher, and we're filming a lot of these ecosystem projects, and so people are so excited about that.
They
And
are.
so we're
I mean, they're blowing me off in meetings to be like, I gotta go film.
I know,
Yeah.
they're hard to get a hold of. Because
Yeah.
I was filming.
we had an issue because the Finwood CEO was was actually being filmed here when he had to be on stage with you.
Yeah.
So we're pulling them in all kinds of different directions.
Yeah.
But that's quite exciting, and all of the sessions here are being recorded, so we can all use that in marketing campaigns later.
Great.
And then this awareness campaign will then tie into the Learn and Earn campaign, because at the high level, we're making people aware about Algorand, right? And then we want to basically then hold their hand and say, okay, now come and try us. Like download the Parawallet. Okay, we'll give you a couple of Algos or USDCs. Okay, now do a DeFi transaction. Now maybe you participate in governance or you download an NFT, and so we'll guide people towards that experience and actually show them the real power of Algorand with instant finality, no failures, and all of that. So I think that would be exciting.
It's a dream team: tech, marketing, and community. Put
Yes.
I'm sorry.
wait, we gotta do this.
It's not a separate team. Complimentary.
You're on the
Yeah.
He's community.
So, speaking of community,
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so much stuff happening. Marc, by the way, I just want to say I got feedback just yesterday about what a great way to spend money, time, and energy to create this content for the community. they just think that this is like such an effective way to kind of really help
Yeah.
them grow and showcase. Like, we can give them money, we can give them love, but this is building out their brand and building
Right.
out their awareness, so they love it. But yeah, we have some really
Just one thing on the brand, isn't it available to that? You have templates, or how does that?
So all of the brand assets, that's a good point. All of the brand assets are open sourced and they're downloadable from our website. And anybody can use them. We actually have specific versions for our community. So if our community wants to create their own assets, we'll have like special colors that they can integrate into their campaigns and make it really theirs. And so it's really not. It's the brand of the ecosystem. It's the brand of our community. So we want to be everybody's brand, not just like the foundation. So yeah, we're making all of this available, and people can just go around and play with it and
the feedback's been
choose stuff. And so
I'm sure you've heard this, but the feedback that I've been hearing from projects have been just, they
Right.
love it. They love everything about this new design.
And I actually love how like some of the NFT artists have actually taken our brand and then
Dragging
created
shapes along.
Yeah.
so it's super cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of NFT artists, you guys see the NFT, the room with all the art that was
Yeah.
from the call for artists during Decipher. So it's just like really nice to see how the community come together for sure. And speaking of NFTs, we a pretty exciting announcement that is coming out of Decipher is that Exa Market, you guys know the marketplace, they not only launched a beautiful V2, they're going to launch a fantastic campaign with CoinList to drive up a lot of rewards and momentum in anticipation for their token launch, which I think is super cool. Honeyman team is here, and they actually, for the first time, they're a fully remote company, but like for the first time in a long time, they brought a lot of their team here, so it's good to see them.
Yeah, it's fun.
And they're a great example of open source. Like,
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, thank you for saying that. Yes. Sorry.
and
I got excited because they are so they embody
Right.
and the plan for governance and the plan for token embodies the open source ethos. Yes.
Every contract they have is on GitHub for anyone to read, and I respect it. And I know everyone's working really hard, and I understand you got to protect your development, of course. But we'd encourage people as much as possible to open source code because it builds trust with the community, and that's what this transparency of blockchain is all about.
And we've actually seen great progress actually with Electric Capital, who's actually reporting on active developer accounts. And so they're using open source repos from GitHub to actually do the analysis. So it's actually really important, not just like for the ethos of the blockchain, but also just to be able to count the amount of active developers that we have in our ecosystem for these projects to be open sourced. But so we launched the project Fix the Data a couple of weeks ago. And so, and with a call out to developers to report their repos to Electric Capital, and we've had 89 new repo submissions in the last couple of weeks. So hopefully we'll start seeing that count of active developers go up for Algorand, which is fantastic.
I love that. I mean, this is exactly what and they've done some really innovative stuff around peer-to-peer smart contract auditing as well, that they've just leveraged your team, leveraged other teams in the ecosystem to do. So I think I love these kind of collaborations, more and more of these.
Yeah, and one last thing is that like when people open source their code, it allows new people to kind of stand on their shoulders a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how Ethereum grew to what it is today.
Totally.
Yeah,
Now, everyone wants to start again, so-
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Libraries developed.
Yeah, they're doing great. And actually, and then Folks Finance has been working with TinyMan, but Folks speaking of getting excited about what's coming up, I mean, Folks is launching their incentive pools, which consensus pools for in anticipation of the rollout of consensus and incentivization, which is a big part of how, they've just done a really nice job of really iterating and building their products to really kind of, it used to be liquid governance, now it's going to be consensus incentivization, and they're launching it alongside.
They're always in lockstep with what's happening. I mean, they don't miss a beat, those guys.
Yeah. They throw a party and then they're lockstep with our roadmap. They can do everything.
And it's wonderful. To maximize your reward with consensus incentives, of course, you need to run your own node. I mean, that's the way you make the most rewards. Fine.
Yeah.
But for folks who don't have the minimum floor of 30,000 algo, which was selected for technical reasons, you can now go to Folks finance and you can stake with them, and so you can stake with an amount lower than that. Or you can use our peer-to-peer pooling solution that we're going to be rolling out, where you can basically cluster together in a smart contract with other people on the network in a safe, transparent way.
Built by TXN Labs.
And that's the
Send Labs,
Yeah,
NFT.
exactly.
Yeah, right, NFT.
Exactly. They also, and they named it Ready Pools,
Right.
which is kind of cool because they're following our roadmap name
Ah,
for their pool. Isn't that nice? Yeah.
Devan.
Yes.
Hey, you guys, we got to do this too.
Yes.
Maybe all 5 right here.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, it just kind of feels like you're looping us in now because we made a thing of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, you're calling us out for it.
I did start it.
It's great to be here in person, actually, because
yeah,
otherwise we do this remotely. This
Yeah.
feels good for this to be the finale of the first season.
I know, this
Well, I don't
feels
have a
right. This
Microphone,
feels right.
phone hanging.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this finale episode. It's
And
been-
when does the second season kick off? Do we know?
Like after the summer, I think. Towards the end of the summer.
Okay, great. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, verifiably random.
Yes.
Yes.
Season
yes.
2.
Season 2.
Season 2. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. And it's so great for all of you to be with us this season. And we will come back to you at the end of summer with season 2.
All right.
Bye.